Nothing you put on the internet is ever truly gone. And in this case, that goes for the fan fiction I wrote when I was 15. So recently I've been making a lot of memes about fan fiction, and I made a comment talking about how I regret deleting all the fan fiction I wrote when I was a kid. And after writing that comment, I decided to double check and make sure I actually deleted all that fan fiction. And it turns out I didn't. After a quick search on the internet, I found it. Well, at least half of it. After logging into my old fanfiction.net account, it turns out half the content I wrote there is still up. If I had to make a guess, what probably happened is I went to purge the whole thing and then got distracted halfway through and just didn't finish the job. I mean, if you haven't noticed by my content already, I'm very all over the place, so that's the most logical explanation. But getting back on track, the two fanfictions that still exist on the platform are a 13 Reasons Why fanfic and a Star Wars fanfic. And then I believe the ones I deleted were a Planet of the Apes fanfiction and then an Avengers fanfiction. So if this video does well, I can go find those in my Google Docs, because I guarantee they're still there. Because once again, nothing you put on the internet is ever truly gone, unfortunately. Well, I guess I should say fortunately, since I said I regretted deleting them in the first place. I don't know. Well, this is going to be pretty embarrassing, so we'll see how I feel after I get through these. Anyway, for this video, I thought we would read the 13 Reasons Why one, because that definitely seems like the one I'm dreading reading the most. And before I get into reading and reacting to my 13 Reasons Why fanfiction, I thought it would be a good idea to read the comments first, so I really get nervous about what's in this. This website is not easy to browse at all. It's all over the place. Okay, so this fanfiction of 13 Reasons Why got 8,103 views. I believe it's a chapter by chapter view, but there's only 4 chapters, so that's a lot of people who looked at this thing. And then it got 28 favorites and 20 reviews. Oh boy, so a lot of people have seen this. Oh no. That's way more than the amount of people that read Europa and Wattpad. And like, at least I was like older when I wrote that. Oh man. By the way, sidebar right here, Europa is the book I wrote in 1 week for my Write a Book in a Week challenge, and if you want, it's going to be linked in the bio, so check it out. I'm also going to link this fan fiction down below if you want to read it after I react to it, because let's face it, if I don't link it, you guys will find it anyway, so have fun with that. Alright, enough dilly-dallying, let's read some reviews. Okay, so it's not actually 20 different reviewers, it's like some people have given reviews on each chapter. So this one guess just goes good in every chapter. Please continue, I want to know what happened to Alex. I don't remember what happened to Alex, but I have a feeling I just didn't get to that part because this is only 4 chapters long out of the 13. Please continue, all caps. Well, now I'm starting to feel guilty. I don't remember writing this, but I do remember that it's not solely based on the show. It's like based on the book, but also has ties to the show because the book didn't cover some of the things that the show did. I did read the book. I thought the book was better than the show, but also, I should have done this before. 13 Reasons Why deals with some heavy content, so if you don't want to hear any of that stuff, I'm not going to get too graphic. I'm just reacting to what I wrote, and I'm pretty sure that my stories meant to have like a positive spin. But if you feel like any of this might make you uncomfortable, you don't have to watch this video. Just click off. It's perfectly okay. I won't be offended. Most people click off my videos by now anyway, so you're not offending anyone. Hey, this is amazing. Keep up the good work. Well, I didn't keep up the good work. I gave up. Keep it going when you can. I'm gonna have to finish this, aren't I? Like, you guys on YouTube, you're gonna make me finish this, aren't I? I don't. This was back in my phase too, where like I would not finish anything I started writing. I would, when I was writing my own books, I would only write like 1 or 2 chapters, and I would start over or something like that. Like, I've been a lot better with that recently. You guys have seen like when I finished Europa in 1 week, like completing an entire project in a short amount of time, but that was definitely a problem I had back then, and I feel really bad for the people who enjoyed this story. Also, this is 26,000 words? 4 chapters, 26,000 words? I forgot about that. I used to be an overwriter. It's funny because now I'm a complete underwriter where I finish my stories way too quickly. I have trouble like putting meat in the story. But back then I would just meander on and on talking about like nothing. Someone actually wrote, that was long after chapter 3. So chapter 3 is probably the longest chapter. Interesting story. I can't wait for the next chapter. There was no next chapter. Wait, no, that was after chapter 2. There was a next chapter. For now. I love the concept, but the author's note was overwhelming. What? What's in the author's note? Oh, now I'm scared. Oh God! Of course, on the bottom, I had a comment from myself, begging for more views in like comments. What a little piece of shit I was. I write my story on success, so the more favorites and comments I get, the more emphasis I will put into it. Dude, reading that comment, it looks like I don't even know how to speak English. Like, dude, what are you doing begging for views? I'm disappointed in you, younger me. We don't beg for views on this channel. We don't beg. Speaking of how we don't beg on this channel, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content like this. It's not begging. Alright, I think it's time for me to get cozy and start reading this thing. Okay, I've moved to a more cozy location to start reading this, and in true fanfiction fashion, it is 3:51 a.m. So I'm gonna be up all night reading this because it's 26,000 words. And I'm already regretting this because I'm looking at the names of the first few chapters, and the first one's fine. Some friendships are forever. I assume that's gonna be about Clay. I remember him from the book in the show. And then right away, chapter 2, The Diamond in the Rust. The phrase is not diamond in the rust, young Pat. It's diamond in the rough. So I already know this is going to be littered with errors. I probably didn't even use Grammarly or this is not focusing. Is it focusing away from my face every time I look away from the camera? Like, is that what it's doing? Oh, God. Don't film YouTube videos on an iPhone, kids. All right, hopefully it's not that bad. I'm just going to get into this and start reading. Let's see how bad that intro was that comment was complaining about. So here we go. Okay, that comment was not lying. This intro is a lot. It's basically like Hannah's first tape, but like edited to be like for the fanfiction in the most cringy way I could possibly imagine. I haven't even started reading the story, and I already regret this so much. And if that camera jumps one more time, I'm gonna throw it across the room. I'm not actually gonna throw it across the room. That's a very expensive iPhone, but it's pissing me off. All right, let me just show you what I mean. All right, for the first paragraph here, I just warn people about the subject matter of 13 Reasons Why. That's very responsible. I'm surprised I put a trigger warning in there, because I typically forget them. Trigger warnings are very important. I'm just not good at remembering. I try to do better. I've been a lot better with a lot of the games I've worked on recently, including trigger warnings, but yeah, young me did a good job here. I promise everyone here that I'm going to update it every single Monday. I can tell for a fact that that didn't happen. And I'm going to look at the dates on all these to see how consistent I was to that every Monday goal, because I know I did not stick to it. I know myself. I know I did not stick to that for like 1 week. Well, this is the part I'm about to read now that the person thought it was cringy, and I completely agree. Hey, it's me, 10 Writer 10. That's right. Don't adjust your whatever device you're reading this on. It's me, live and in print. No return engagements, no encore, and this time, absolutely no requests. Get a snack, settle in, because I'm about to tell you the story of Hannah Baker's life, specifically the second part. The rules here are pretty simple. There are only two. Rule number one, you read. Rule number two, you pass it on to your friends. Hopefully, neither one will be easy. It's not supposed to be easy, or I would have emailed you a PDF. When you're done reading all 13 chapters, because there are 13 sides to every story, flip onto the first chapter, copy the link in the search bar, and pass it on to the next person you text. Read the story of her life completely, or just throw the link away and I'll never know. Or will I? You see, in case you're tempted to break the rules, understand I did make a copy of these pages and I left them with a trusted individual who, if this link does not make it through all of you, will release those copies in a very public manner. This is not a spur of the moment decision. Do not take my writing for granted. Not again. That was something. Once again, young Pat is begging for reads. And you know what? Do I like the fact that I keep on begging for reads every opportunity I have? No. But at the same time, this did get a lot of reads, so maybe I should beg more. Alright, I'm like 6 paragraphs in, and I have to say, reading this is eerie. Not because like all like the heavy subject matter it deals with, but because of like I don't remember writing it, but like it feels familiar as I read it. I guess the best way to describe it is like there's like a deja vu feeling like, while I'm reading this. Maybe this is me being up at 4 a.m. talking, but like, did I actually write this? They always talk about how like every few years like your cells get replaced. So like maybe none of the cells that wrote this are still like present inside me. Like me, so maybe like I didn't really write this. Thought I'd put that out there. As for my writing, it is completely awful. One of the things I'm noticing is I struggle to break up paragraphs. Every paragraph is like a block after block after block. It's difficult to look at. The first chunk of this is basically me just summarizing what happened at the end of the show. Every character has the same voice and they all speak like a robot. It's awful. But at the same time, this is also showing me how much I've developed as a writer, which is really helpful to see because like sometimes it feels like you're just not improving. You're just doing the same thing over and over again and you're making no progress. You can really see how much I've learned when it comes to creating more natural dialogue or like breaking up paragraphs or even like descriptive writing. I always make jokes about how descriptive writing is one of my big weaknesses, but it's gotten better. This is this is bad. I'm really questioning who read this and wrote good. They should have wrote not good or bad or I don't know. I apologize for the bad humor. I know I normally do better. It's 4 a.m., so bear with me. I have to take a quick break here because I'm struggling to follow the story because I don't remember any of these characters. I'm gonna do a quick refresher and come back. I've never been good at writing romance scenes, like that's why I don't write them, but like that kiss scene I just read between Clay and Hannah's ghost was awful. Like really, really so poorly written. I can't even put into words. Like I'm internally cringing. I mean, in my defense, when I wrote that scene, I had never kissed someone, so of course I had no clue what I was talking about. Oh wait, my bad. It's not with her ghost. Apparently she's alive in this somehow. Okay, I think I have the gist, and it does make my little weird intro a little better. So, in this story, Hannah is still alive. She survived her attempt, and now she's trying to decide whether she wants to live or die, I guess. And now she's trying to make a list of why she wants to live, and for each list, she's basically going to write a note to the person instead of a tape. At least that's what I've gotten from what I read so far. The concept isn't horrible. It's filled to the brim with plot holes, and I feel like it handles some sensitive material pretty poorly. So yeah, but it could be worse, I guess. All right, I don't know who's begging more on this screen for chapter 2. On one hand, I wrote another lengthy thing talking about trying to get more readers. On the other hand, there's just ad after ad on this page. Like I scroll down, there's like one line of text, three ads. Timu. This is an ad for Silly Bands? Do those still exist? Yeah, I do not remember there being this many ads on this website. I guess they've like had to make money somehow, so why not make ads? But this is a lot. It's time to read Diamond in the Rust. Because it's not every day they have an error in a freaking title. Way to go, young Pat. Way to go. Alright, early in this chapter, we have another horrendous kiss scene written by me, but this time it's between Tony and his boyfriend. So, kudos to me for writing a great scene. So young. I'm proud of young me. What I'm not proud of is all the spelling errors. Oh my god, like, did I not have like access to spell check? Like, what did I write this on? Okay, the one thing that I somehow nailed is apparently Clay and Hannah are dating in this now, and the way that they awkwardly ask whether or not they're actually dating is almost exactly the way that me and my first girlfriend had this conversation. That's pretty funny. I say this as if I've had more than one ex girlfriend. Okay, I'm just like skipping through this at this point. There are like paragraphs after paragraphs where nothing happens, like nothing at all. It's just a paragraph of he smiled at her. They all laughed and shared a moment. Like nothing is happening. Like this is awful. Also, massive plot hole here. Apparently, Hannah Baker's parents don't know that she's alive, but like some of her friends do. Like, and apparently this happens like a month after she was buried. So, how did this happen? I wonder if I stopped writing this because I wrote myself into such big plot holes where I just didn't know how to get out of them. Also, I think I figured out the jumping screen thing. Like if I tap myself when I start recording, it doesn't seem to do it anymore. So hopefully that works. Okay, so they apparently took care of every single plot hole with everyone thinking she's dead, including like the state and like the government with like one phone call. I remember when I was reading the reviews that I got a review on chapter 3 that it was too long, which is a little strange because this is like the shortest chapter I have in this so far. I think maybe I haven't read it yet. It's very possible that I just didn't add anything to the story in this chapter. Also, I do have to give myself credit where credit is due. So far, this has basically been updated every Monday. It looks like one of them was like a day or two off, but so far I was pretty good. Unfortunately, there's only one chapter after this, so that doesn't last. But kudos on myself for the consistency. Even now, as you guys can tell, I struggle to be consistent with putting out content. So this third chapter is about like Hannah reconnecting with her parents after like she tricked them and like she didn't fake her death, but like she didn't die. And so so she's meeting with her parents, and then like a lawyer comes to like have her sign papers that say she's not dead, because I had to write myself out of a plot hole. And just reading like the lawyer's dialogue, you can tell like I'm trying to like impersonate an adult, but like I don't know how an adult would sound in this like situation, like just the way he says it. This old client of mine sent me over here with a very unusual case. I was supposed to have a girl sign a few papers in order to keep any legal issues out of a very complicated situation. It's awful. It's awful, but I don't want to say it's so awful that it's good, but more, it's so awful that I can't stop reading it. That's the better way to describe how I feel right now. I understand why someone said this chapter like felt so long now. It's like the entire thing is just her like signing papers and like the lawyer nodding and doing like lawyer things. But I don't know how to describe a lawyer, so I don't know. The only reviews that I don't agree with so far are good and please continue. I don't know who wanted me to please continue. Like, gosh, fan fiction's so weird. Part of me kind of misses it. Part of me wants to see what I could create now that I'm actually. I don't want to say I'm a good writer, but like I'm a much better writer than I was before. But at the same time, I have so many actual projects to work on, like so many projects I promised you guys, and so many projects that like I'm so close to publishing. Who knows? Whenever I write a book, I like to let it sit for a month before I go in and edit it. So maybe the next time I write a book, I can during that month write some fan fiction. So if that's something you'd be interested in seeing, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me write fan fiction on. It can't be worse than 13 Reasons Why. So let me have it. It's a wild plot twist when you don't even remember writing it. Like, I remember writing some of this stuff here and there. I already kind of remember what happens in the next chapter. Not like what happens, but like how it like plays out as in terms of, like I structured it where like I try to give every character a little bit of screen time. So it's like she goes to school, I think, and like interacts with everyone. But wow, chapter 3 is not as boring as I thought it was with all the lawyer crap in the first half. Apparently Hannah is pregnant, and Bryce the monster is the father, or at least I assume is the father because from what I've written, her and Clay haven't done anything. I'm not even sure. No, yeah, it basically says here Bryce is definitely the father. I think. Wow. See, it's written so horribly, and yet it draws you in. I love how like the gears in my head are turning right now. It's like, oh man, I wonder how this story ends. And it's like, no, you numbskull, you didn't write it. It doesn't end. Like you have one more chapter. Enjoy. I'm gonna have to finish this, aren't I? All right, I really feel bad now for whoever was like invested in this story because it seems like chapter 4 is really where I hit my stride. In the show, there's always like all these different plot lines intertwining, teen drama with like all these different characters and how their lives play together. And in this chapter, I really nail it by having Hannah have a different interaction with every single character that she wrote a tape for. and like it's just separated by like each person she saw like throughout the day. And with every person she comes in contact with, it's basically like setting up like what I would have done if I finished this story. So for example, her and Clay are having relationship drama now because she doesn't know how to tell him she's pregnant. Not for nothing too, I actually kind of nailed the direction the show went with some of these characters. um, I don't know how much was teased at the end of the first season or going into the second, third, maybe fourth season of that show. Again, I don't remember how much was teased, so I might have just been using like what I saw. But I kind of got Tyler spot on, which is scary. I don't even remember Courtney, so I'm not even gonna. Zach, I nailed. He's being a really genuine guy here. All right, maybe I spoke a little too soon. The guy Ryan, like the poetry guy, he always had like that smug attitude or whatever. Yeah, his dialogue reads just like every other character, just emphasizing like when I wrote this how unable I am to like differentiate different characters based on their voice and how they would speak. I feel like I didn't really know what direction to take this one. I just wrote something just so I could include every character. She has a therapy session here with the guidance counselor, Mr. Porter, and it reads out more like two girls like gossiping. Yeah, at the time of writing this, I had never been to therapy, so I didn't know what happened during a therapy session. Also, I don't think your guidance counselors give you therapy, so don't really know what direction I was taking that, but it's somewhat heartwarming, kind of. In this section with Jessica, she's building a little girl alliance. It's kind of wholesome that they're kind of bonding over their trauma. Um, what I can't stand about it is it's just basically like back and forth, like dialogue. Like one of them will speak, then the other one will speak. I'm not even using like dialogue tags at that point. Like that's like the entire section. There's no description. There's no like, and it's just strange too because like the rest of what I wrote is mostly like block paragraph after block paragraph, but here it's just like back and forth and back and forth. I don't remember this Marcus character that well, but he just like handed her a binder with all the homework that she missed while she was like out on like a retreat after like trying to end her life. On one hand, I can like almost see that happening, but like, what? Wouldn't a teacher do that? Not. I love how I'm like asking you guys these questions as if it's something that like someone else wrote and I'm like reacting to. Like, I wrote this. Like, these are questions that I have to answer. Maybe that's why I stopped writing this because I didn't know how to answer these questions. You see how tired I am? Like, I don't know if it's like bedtime at this point or if it's just pull an all nighter and go to sleep early tomorrow point. I know they say you can't catch up on sleep the next day when you pull an all nighter, but like, what's the worst that's gonna happen? Damn. I just got to the Bryce portion of the chapter, and I have to say, like, this is the first character that I've actually given like a voice in the dialogue. Other than at this point, I feel like Hannah's dialogue is starting to get better because I've been writing her for a little bit. I feel like I got like a little more comfortable, which is one of the great parts about like writing fan fiction, like being able to write characters that already exist. It's a lot easier to learn how to give a character voice. And this one I actually did well, and he's like threatening her, like cornering her in the stairwell, like after everything that happened, like just trying to be the big bully. The writing in this portion is actually pretty decent. I dropped a few F bombs too. Way to go. No, this is like the first part of this chapter. I'm like, this has some potential. Oh, that's pretty sad. So I was pretty curious how it handled Justin in this fan fiction thing. I was a little worried about it because he was a character that really grew on me and the audience throughout the seasons. And I have to say this is pretty sad. He's not in school. Like he sees her on the way home and he's basically like living like a hobo outside the school and like he seems very remorseful. So I think I handled that pretty well too. He hands her a note and apparently it's from Alex, who's like recovering from a gunshot wound. And cool, the way I ended this chapter was instead of like Hannah writing like a note to someone, at the end of every chapter, Hannah was writing a note to someone as a reason that she decided to live. And in this chapter, like the note is a note to Hannah from Alex. Yeah. You know what? I think that's a pretty good place for this story to end. I have no idea where I would have taken it. Um, Obviously, if you guys revolt enough in the comments, I will try to do something with this. But yeah, I'm gonna link my fanfiction link thing down in the comments below. I do want to warn you though, it is a 13 Reasons Why fanfiction, and it does not fall that far from the deep subject matter from the show. And the one regret I do have from writing this is I do think I handled some subject matter pretty poorly in my young age. So if you do want to read this, just let that be known. That's all I have for this video. If you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Good luck with your works in progress.